I believe we can start the webinar. So a very good evening to all the panelists and attendees attending today's webinar. I'm Khushi Jhaveri, the Study Abroad Coordinator of University of Tokyo India Office and the facilitator for today's webinar. I have been joined by Ms. Vaishnavi from University of Tokyo as a sub-facilitator. We are here again for the Global Network Project of University of Tokyo India Office, and we hope to encourage you to pursue your further studies in Japan. In today's webinar, we have been joined by several renowned universities in Japan. Each of these universities will give us a 20-minute presentation about their programs offered at undergraduate, graduate, and doctoral levels. Then we'll have a 5-minute Q&A session right after the presentation. We have our expertise who will help you today with any questions you have regarding Japanese universities. So please post your questions in the Q&A portal and not the chat box. We have noticed that many students are posting their questions in the chat box. So please make sure you ask your questions in the Q&A portal if you want them to be answered. And panelists, please make sure to turn off your video and audio when you're not presenting. And also, I have an important announcement to make. We'll be sharing a questionnaire in the chat box and a separate survey towards the end of the webinar. Both of them are for different purposes and will not take much time in filling them up. So please make sure you fill in the questionnaire and the survey by the end of today's webinar. Thank you so much for understanding. Now I'll be sharing today's agenda. I hope you can see my screen. So first we begin the webinar with a brief introduction by Ms. Sakshi, the Assistant Manager of University of Tokyo India Office. Then we'll have a presentation for the overview of study in Japan by Ms. Vaishnavi Thakur, a student from the University of Tokyo. Followed by a presentation by the University of Tokyo PEAK program by Professor Richard Shefferson from the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences. Then a presentation by the University of Tsukuba by Mr. Shah, the university's international administrator. And lastly, we'll have a presentation by Ritsumeikan University by Ms. Priyanka, the Deputy Director of Ritsumeikan India Office. Now I'd like to request Ms. Sakshi Roy, the Assistant Manager, to give us a brief introduction and to begin the webinar.
Thank you, Ms. Khushi. I'll just go ahead and share my screen.
Thank you.
So welcome everyone. My name is Sakshi Roy, and thank you very much for joining this webinar today. And a big thanks to our panel members from prestigious Japanese universities and our attendees from different parts of the world. So thank you very much for your time and support. So we are the part of Study in Japan Global Network Project in Southwest Asia by MEXT, and we provide information on Japanese universities. We organize education fairs and seminars throughout India to spread awareness about higher education opportunities in Japan. And about the webinar, today we are here for session 10 of Study and Work in Japan webinar series, and all these webinars are designed to introduce you to some of the best Japanese universities. We'll be discussing the various program offerings and opportunities to study and work in Japan. And today we are joined by representatives of 3 world-class Japanese universities, and all the universities will be discussing about English-based programs and scholarship opportunities that are offered by them. So it's quite a huge opportunity for all of you to ask your queries directly to each university representative. There has been approximately 700 plus universities as well as specialized vocational institutions in Japan. So if you study in Japan, it means you'll further your study in a well-rounded education system. You'll experience a unique new culture and you'll have a chance to gain more international perspective. So, however, I know it would be difficult to understand everything in such a short period of time, 20 minutes each university. But I would like to recommend you all to please note down the contact addresses of each university so that in case if you have further doubts, please feel free to ask them directly later on by writing them. So this is the email address of our office. In case if you have any question, please feel free to contact us. I'll also share this mail in the chat box for your reference. So thank you very much for listening to me. I request you all to please stay tuned with us till the end of the session. And please don't forget to register for our upcoming webinar next week on Tuesday. We have a lot in store for you. So please register for all our upcoming webinars next month. And I hope it will help you to achieve your dreams of studying and working abroad in Japan. So thank you very much once again. Please enjoy today's session.
Thank you so much, Ms. Sakshi. I will reshare the agenda. Okay, so now we'll proceed with the agenda. So now I'd like to request Ms. Vaishnavi to give us an overview of study in Japan, and I hope she'll share her experiences and guide students in the best way possible.
Thank you, Kushi-san. Let me share my screen. Okay, hello everyone. Let me begin with my presentation. So before that, a brief self-introduction. I'm Vaishnavi Thakur, a master's student at the University of Tokyo. So today I'll be speaking about my experience as a student here in Japan. So why did I choose Japan, and why do I strongly believe that Japan is one of the best places for higher education? Japan is an island country in East Asia, and it is also one of the most densely populated countries in the world. But life in Japan is very peaceful and is full of opportunities. This is evident from the fact that some of the cities in Japan, like Osaka and Tokyo, they have been consistently ranked as the world's most livable and the best student cities since 2021. And now when it comes to the other factors, like for example, when students are moving to another country, it puts a lot of stress on students and parents especially. So if we cover some of the aspects of living in Japan, we need not worry about the public transportation, because the public transportation is very safe and students can easily commute from their homes to the universities they are studying. And when it comes to the food, there are different cuisines available, and you need not worry if vegetarian food is available or not, because there are many restaurants and convenience stores where we can easily find vegetarian food. And when it comes to the health, so usually parents are more worried about children's health than themselves. So there is an excellent national health insurance policy which covers almost all the insurance when a student falls sick, and up to 80%, and the rest is covered by the university. So you need not worry about the health expenses as well. And these are some of the salient features of living in Japan. And let's look into the quality of education and how can we gain admission into these universities. So Japanese university education system is divided into three main categories: national, public, and private. So one misconception usually students have when studying in these universities is about the language. So people usually think that we need to have Japanese language skills, but that is not true, because there are so many English programs which are being offered by various universities. And some of those universities will cover their admission process in today's webinar. And to give an overview, there are about 90 courses in 40 universities which offer undergraduate programs, and these are English-based programs. Similarly, we have around 160 courses in 51 universities for the graduate programs. So knowing Japanese language is quite a misconception to study here. And then when we look at the differences between the education system in India and Japan, in India, usually the admission process lies with the national level entrance exams and the state level entrance exams like JEE, NEET, GATE, and so on. But here the admission for the international students is with the universities itself. So the general process is that first you, for the graduate programs, is that you contact the professor or the lab which you are interested in, and then get a letter of acceptance, and then apply to the university and follow the general admission process. So I would like to say that the admission process here depends upon the universities and not through the entrance exams. And when we look at the university life and university culture, so I need not specially mention about the infrastructure here. So the facilities offered to students are quite unparalleled and some of the best in the world. So the university dorms offer a peaceful living environment for a well-balanced academic and personal life. And also the other facilities are also top-notch. So now let's look into how we can gain admissions as into these universities as an international student. So like I mentioned, for bachelor's program, the usual process is to take entrance exam and submit SOPs. And for graduate programs, like I mentioned, we need to contact professors and then follow the usual admission flow. So before going further, I would like to mention that like most of the students, especially in India, they try to go towards West and they prefer Western countries over Eastern countries. So I believe that it's mainly because of the misconceptions of Japanese language, and also students are not aware of the wonderful opportunities here. And when we compare with the Western countries with Japan, we can see that tuition fees in Japan is quite low when we compare to the US. And even for the private universities, the tuition fees is very low in Japan, and living expenses are almost the same in the West and in the East. So, but this difference can be usually covered through scholarships, because there are plenty of scholarships which are being offered in Japan, like the most popular ones like MEX, JASO. Besides these, we have many local government scholarships, and even there are some universities which provide like 100% scholarships. So students can take advantage of these scholarships by studying in Japan. And so what happens after we graduate the university? So this question must be popping in your head right now. So what are the job opportunities available once we graduate? When we see the statistics, Japan has one of the lowest unemployment rates in the developed G7 nations, which is around 2.4%. And the average salary a student gets once he graduates is around 4 million yen. So students can target many international companies that operate in Japan, and also like there are many global companies which operate in Japan. And also there are many traditional Japanese companies which you can look into once you graduate. So another biggest advantage is about the visa process. So the visa process, the conversion from a student to working visa is not very difficult at all, unlike in other countries where there's always this pressure of getting a job and getting a visa. So that we don't have that here in Japan. So we can live a peaceful life over here. So this is about the job opportunities in Japan, and how a student and how to gain admission into these universities. So we are almost at the end of the presentation. So finally, I would like to mention about my life in Japan. So this is how my weekends are. After the weekday hustle with the research and the work, we can take out some time for ourselves through various activities by pursuing various hobbies. Here, every city and every ward has a sports center where you can indulge in any hobby you have. And the scenery of Japan, so it is almost 70% of Japan is as it is. So you can enjoy very it's a scenic country as well. So if you are a foodie, there are plenty of options available where you can try different international cuisines. So these are like, it doesn't matter how much I say that Japan is beautiful and the quality of life is very good here. It's like until and unless you come here and experience for yourself. So there is no purpose in saying that. So yeah, so with this, I would like to conclude my presentation and mention that, so consider Japan, like look at all the possibilities of various programs in different universities, and also the scholarships which are being given. So considering all that, then choose whatever suits you. So with this, I would like to conclude my presentation, and I hope I would like to, I could see some of you guys in the near future over here.
Thank you so much, Ms. Vaishnavi, for the very insightful presentation. I believe you have motivated many people to come to Japan to pursue further studies and to work here. Once again, thank you so much for the presentation. I'll reshare the agenda. So now we'll have a presentation by the University of Tokyo PEAK program. First, I'll talk a little about the university. So the University of Tokyo is the first imperial university in Japan and is regarded as one of the most prestigious educational institutions internationally. The university is home to several notable alumni, including prime ministers, Nobel laureates, and astronauts. Graduates of the universities have landed themselves with great job opportunities and have had a significant contribution to the society. Now, I'd like to request Professor Richard to give us an insight into the undergraduate programs of the university.
Yes, so can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, oh, great. Let's see. So I think I have somebody from my admissions office here who has the actual presentation. So hopefully that'll come up. Oh, there we go. Wonderful. Okay. So yeah, so I would like to introduce the PEAK program at the University of Tokyo. That's Programs in English at Komaba. Can we have the next slide? So the University of Tokyo has several campuses and spread out across Tokyo. And so the PEAK program is based at Komaba, which is very close to Shibuya, if you've ever been to Tokyo. So a very lively area. Next slide, please. Now, PEAK is an undergraduate program, and it offers students from around the world the opportunity to study at the University of Tokyo in English and get a bachelor's degree from our university. It has two main programs, one called the International Program on Environmental Sciences, and the other is the International Program on Japan and East Asia, which can be roughly thought of as the first program can be sort of thought of as a natural science program, and the second one can be thought of as a social sciences and humanities program. And there's no Japanese language knowledge requirement to join PEAK. Next slide, please. The structure of our curriculum is rather unique, in particular if you compare us to other universities like in the United States or even other Japanese universities. So our first 2 years, we have a liberal arts curriculum. So the idea here is to teach, to take courses that are very general across a wide spectrum of topics to make you a well-informed global citizen. And then the third and fourth year of the program, those are the specialization years. And so if you're an environmental sciences student, you would be taking a lot of kind of more applied courses and things like environmental principles, materials sciences, management and policy and so forth. Whereas if you're in Japan and East Asia, you might study more history, cultural studies, international relations, economics, and so forth. Next slide, please. Our tuition is very, very cheap. So I'm from the United States originally. I did not pay this little for college. We have an admission fee that is paid one time, which is about $2,500 US. And our tuition fees are just under $5,000 annually. As a student in Tokyo, you can expect to pay actually, you can expect to live on the cheap if you really want to. The typical accommodation bill is around $750 a month for rent and about $700 to $800 a month or so for living expenses. But we know many students who actually find very nice places for even cheaper than that. So you can actually live very, very well and rather cheaply if you want to. Next slide. We have a number of scholarships that are available. This is showing you three possibilities. One is that the Japanese government itself works in collaboration with us to offer some scholarships. And so we give 5 per year that include a round-trip airline ticket to Tokyo, admission fees, all the tuition fees, and a stipend of about a little over 1,000 USD per month. We have our own in-house scholarship that's very similar to the Japanese government's scholarship, with the exception that we don't pay the airline ticket. And then there are country-specific scholarships. I know, well, this is showing you the Singaporean and Malaysian ones. I think that there might be some covering South Asia as well, if I remember from my memory. Next slide. Now, we typically admit 30 students per year. We're highly selective. Roughly 15 go into the Japan and East Asia program, and roughly 15 go into environmental sciences. So this means that we give roughly half of these students full scholarships. Okay. We do not really admit more than 30. Some years it's a bit more, and some years it's a bit less. It's always right around 30. Okay. So in terms of applying to our program, next slide, please. So there's a kind of a long process. The first process is document screening. So you'd be sending in a bunch of documentation, including your grades and test scores and the such. There's also an essay that would be a part of that, and we decide based on those who to take to the second stage, which would be an interview stage. We do a personal online interview, and if you are applying for environmental sciences, then we also have you conduct a mathematics exam. And at that point, we determine on the basis of all of that who we will admit. And so our next application period is November 21st to December 22nd of this year. That's a strict application period. We don't take applications before, and we do not take applications after. And this would be for enrollment in September 2023. Next slide, please. In order to be eligible, you need to have had 12 years of education in elementary and middle, high school, that sort of thing. And we need at least 4 of the first 6 school years to be taught in languages primarily other than Japanese, and at least 5 of the second 6 school years to be taught in languages primarily other than Japanese. So if you're going to a school where you're being primarily educated in English, and you've done that for your entire education, then you have no problem here. Next slide. We take a variety of standardized exams. You only need to take one, but it has to be one that we actually accept. So that would include the International Baccalaureate, that would include A-levels and international A-levels from most countries that offer them. European Baccalaureate, Cambridge Pre-U, SAT, and ACT. We accept some national tests. It depends on which country, which test. So if you are unclear about that, you can look through our appendices for the application guidelines, and also contact us, and we can tell you a bit more. Next slide, please. Okay, and so our document screening requirements, we accept applications online. As a part of that, we have your online application form that you would be filling out. You'd be doing an essay. We need your official school transcripts, a certificate of expected graduation, official standardized national examination results. If you are not a native English speaker, then we need a test of English proficiency, like a TOEFL or IELTS. And then we also need 2 letters of recommendation. Next slide, please. Okay, so let's take a look at our graduates. Next slide. So our program is fairly young, and so it's been around now. I think it officially started in 2012, so our first graduates were in 2016. And so we've had several years of graduates out of this program. And if we look at where they go, roughly half of them go into graduate school, and another half of them, roughly half of them, go into employment. The ones that don't, have various other things that they want to do, maybe do a little bit of unpaid research or internships or job hunting and so forth. Of those that go on to graduate school, as you can see, we have, our top 3 destinations are Japan, US, and the UK. And then we have quite a few other places that they go. And in terms of employment, many of our graduates actually stay on and get employed in Japan at international firms of various sorts. About 15% go on to other countries. Next slide. In terms of where our graduates go for graduate school, they're sort of all over the map. Of course, plenty stay at the University of Tokyo in various programs that we have. We have 2 main graduate programs affiliated with PEAK, but we also have many other programs in the university, a good number of which it is possible and sometimes even easy to study in English in. As you can see here, our graduates go all over the place, though, to Yale, the University of Illinois, Keio within Japan, Oxford, Michigan, Seoul, so forth. Next slide. What do they study? So it turns out that although our 2 major programs sound very specific, actually we have a wide range of interests in our students who go there. So they go on to grad school to study all sorts of things. For example, our environmental science majors, they don't just go into environmental science, they go into things like biomedical engineering, computer science, chemical sciences, economics, education. law, and so forth. And our Japan and East Asia students, they go on into graduate programs in things like sociology, public policy, philosophy, political science, media and design, history, and so forth. Next slide, please. In terms of the students that actually graduate and then go on into employment rather than graduate school, they go into all sorts of industries. I think particularly within the environmental sciences side, a lot of our students go into environmental consulting. So they might work for a consulting firm or a business as doing the environmental side. But they go on into many other things too, including accounting, banking, finance, education, leisure, sports, and tourism, public services, and so forth. Next slide. Okay, and so if you have, if you'd like more information, of course, so we still have a few more minutes here, so I can answer a number of questions, but we're also happy to have you go and contact us through our website.
Thank you, Professor Richard, for the very informative presentation. Could we proceed with the Q&A session?
Sure, sure.
Can I pick up a couple of questions for you?
Okay.
So the first question is, when is a student supposed to apply for the MEC scholarship? I believe that in one of the slides, it was mentioned that students are automatically considered for the scholarship.
Yeah.
Is that the case for MEC scholarship as well?
Well, so the MEC scholarship that we showed you there is the one that we do in concert with the Japanese government. So MEXT pays it, MEXT decides it, but it's done with us. So those students are automatically considered, right? What we don't do, right, is for the independent MEXT scholarships. I think there are some independent MEXT scholarships, if I recall this correctly, that can go to any university. So we have nothing to do with that. If you wish to apply for that, then you should look into those. I hear they're very competitive, but.
Are there, as you said, that environmental science courses are provided in the PEAK program, but does environmental science also include geology?
Yeah, we have some earth science classes, and so we have a basic, so our environmental science majors, within the first 2 years, I seem to remember they take some basic earth science. I don't remember if it's one semester or a year, but then there's some advanced geology as well that's in the curriculum during the specialized period in the 3rd and 4th years. So there are definitely courses to take if you're interested in geology. Thank you.
For students interested in PhD programs or graduate programs, are they supposed to know Japanese? Would a Japanese level benefit their admission process?
Well, so that depends. So the graduate programs at the University of Tokyo are very, very independent of one another, and they have a lot of leeway as to how they do admissions. So there are some programs that have admissions processes that are done completely in English. For example, so the graduate programs affiliated with PEAK, like so there's an environmental science graduate program, and then there's also I forget what the Japan and East Asia version was called, Global something. Those are done in English. I know that the chemistry school, from what I remember, I think they have an all English admissions process. They actually conduct their entire education in English. Even the Japanese students have to do that in English, which is great. And so if you have a particular program that you are interested in, then my advice would be to actually go online to that program's website to see what their requirements are, because they will actually say them. And even in the cases where the admissions is generally done in Japanese, they might actually have an English alternative admissions process.
Right. Thank you. Many students have questions regarding the kind of programs available at undergraduate and graduate levels at University of Tokyo. I've shared the links in the chat box, so please check the kind of programs that are available in English. There are several questions. So are there scholarship opportunities only for international students, or are they also available for students who have the permanent residency status in Japan?
So if you're applying to get into PEAK, you're eligible for all of those programs. If you're a permanent resident in Japan already, you're not excluded from those scholarship opportunities. So you would certainly be eligible for them.
Thank you. Are you aware of the deadline for graduate programs, or do they vary depending on the program?
That depends on the program. Every program has its own particular deadlines. They're set every year, but they're done independently. I can tell you, for example, that the environmental science graduate program has a deadline very similar, but not exactly the same as PEAK. So towards the end of, I want to say it's towards the end of December.
Right. Thank you. Does the environmental science program also include biotechnology?
So there are courses that are available that get into, I guess, topics that I would consider to be biotech or bioengineering. Some of the courses that are taught by people who are experts in, RNA and in CRISPR and gene editing and things like that. And so I know we do a lot with that. That would be available. Yeah.
One last question. What are the work or what are the job opportunities for doctoral students or students who have a PhD?
What are the job opportunities for people with PhD? Well, if you're deciding to go to a PhD, you're sort of narrowing things to, you're narrowing yourself to rather particular careers, I think, because what that implies is that you want to be, generally speaking, a researcher or an academic or something along those lines. So I would say the opportunities are narrower, but more interesting. I mean, right. I have a PhD. I rather enjoy what I do. I couldn't do what I do without a PhD. But so, if you are particularly interested in the pursuit of knowledge, then a PhD is really worth your while.
Thank you so much, Professor Richard, for answering all the questions. There's still a couple in the Q&A portal, so you could go ahead answering them when other universities are presenting.
Okay.
Once again, thank you so much for the presentation.
Thank you.
So now we'll have a presentation by the University of Tsukuba by Mr. Shah. First, I'll talk a little about the university. So Tsukuba University is an acclaimed national university in Japan. It was selected as a top type university for the top global university project by the Japanese government. It provides some of the best programs to international students in an eclectic array of subjects, especially sciences. It has established several research centers for undergraduate, graduate, and PhD students. The university is also home to several Nobel laureates and Olympians. Now I'd like to request Mr. Shah to give us an insight into the university.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Great. So thank you, Ms. Hoshi, for your wonderful introduction. My name is Mari Katsumata Shah, and I represent the University of Tsukuba. And of course, today I'm going to talk about the University of Tsukuba. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about both undergraduate and graduate programs that are being offered. I'm sure that both communities or both sets of people are listening in today, and also the parents. So please listen through to the end, and I'll try to touch upon all aspects of our university. So once again, thank you very much. And thanks very much to the team at the University of Tokyo for arranging this wonderful opportunity. Now I'm going to move on to the presentation. Let me just bear with me. I'm going to share the screen. So, okay, 1 second. There we go. And I'm going to go full screen. Yes. Okay. So University of Tsukuba is, you might have guessed it, it's in the city of Tsukuba. And here we are situated in a science city, meaning that it is designated by the state, by the Japanese government as a center of research and development. It is said that 40 to 50% of the R&D budget of the country is spent in this city because about 30 national research institutes are situated in here, which includes JAXA, the space agency equivalent to NASA in the United States, or NIMS or NIMS, which does research, cutting-edge research on material sciences, i.e. Nanotechnology, solar panels, and so on. And so many others, right? And our university is situated right in the middle, and we have very strong relationships with many of these famous institutes. So, for example, our material sciences program is linked with NIMS, the agency that I just talked about. So it is a great opportunity if you are interested in that that aspect of applied physics. So also, location-wise, let me talk about that. It's really important when you are choosing a university. It is near Tokyo, and it's about 45 minutes away from the eastern side of Tokyo. So it's also just about 60 minutes away by bus from the international airport. It's situated right around in the middle and towards the near the east coast of Japan. So you can basically like travel all over Japan from here. That's one aspect. And you can, of course, you can visit Tokyo anytime you need the excitement of the metropolis, the megalopolis of which is Tokyo. But also you are basically spending a lot of time in nature. There's lots of trees there. You can hear birds singing, which is, I think, really important. If you look at the picture here, and you see this rocket in the middle, maybe it's a very small picture. I apologize for that. But here, this is actually a park, and this is a replica of a rocket that used to be used to be sent to space, into space. And so I run around this this park. I talk about this because I think that it's really it's important. Also, there is the Twin Peaks of Tsukuba in the background that you can see. It's a very famous mountain, and it takes about 45 minutes by bus to there. And then from there you can take the cable car. You can go up, and you can enjoy the amazing scenery from above. Or actually, you can also hike if you're up for it. I've done both, and I've enjoyed both. So it's really great. Because it's a research and development hub. It has a lot of smart Japanese people, but also smart people from all over the world. And it is said that you can, if you throw a stone, it'll hit there's a good chance it will hit a PhD student. So I really don't recommend that you start throwing stones at people in Tsukuba, but you get the point. Yeah. So here, just a little bit about history, and I think it's really important because it's about what's known as prestige, right? We have been around for 150 years. This school was established initially as a teachers' college around the time when the Meiji era restoration started. That's when they had very few teachers ready to teach the populace. There were only, like I read, 16 miles of train tracks available within the whole of Japan. So they really needed to modernize really quickly. So the teachers' college at the time, the normal school, the higher normal school it was called at the time, was established. And then I'm skipping several decades because so many things happened, but I'm skipping because of lack of time. But in 1949, it was turned into the University of Education. And then in the late 60s, they hatched this plan where they decided to move the university to Tsukuba, and then it became the University of Tsukuba. It has produced these Nobel laureates. Its athletes have won all these number of Olympic and Paralympic medals. And here, our founder, Dr. Kano Jigoro, comes in. And so what he did was that he invented judo. He was a martial artist, but he was also very into education. He was the first Asian member of the International Olympic Committee back when it was all about white European men. So he went out there and he really put Asia and Japan on the map in terms of sport. And also he invited 7,000 international students from Asia to Japan, thus making Japan the first study abroad destination or the study abroad destination for the first time. And so here we try to carry on his legacy, and we have over 2,200 international students and research students from 110 countries and regions. And here we are a top 10 Japanese university. We are ranked like this. According to a ranking agency, we are in the company of very good universities. So I think we're doing okay. Also, in terms of interdisciplinary approaches to education, and this is really important, that we are very comprehensive, we have wide variety of research topics available, but we also really focus on how they come into play with each other. So for example, if you look at the exoskeleton or robotic suit at the bottom right, this is not just a product, but a service designed to help paraplegic patients, for example. And so it is a combination of robotics and information sciences and medical sciences, of course, but also the healthcare, the insurance agency, so how can the patients and hospitals pay for such expensive material or equipment? And so this was all figured out by one of our professors, Professor Sankai, and he made it into a multi-million-dollar company, and this product and service is being sold all over the world. So this is an example of what University of Tsukuba is striving for. So here, I want to talk to you about the undergraduate course, because it's where we start exploring the world. And so here we are trying to teach like all the things that you keep hearing from universities: communication ability, leadership, blah, 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 but also data and information literacy, because there's so much data out there and there's so much false data out there. You really need to parse through it. You really need to know what is, you have to try to sort the real from the fake. So this is something that we need to do, learn how to do. And also you need to be able to, we talk a lot about leadership, but you also need to be cooperative. You also need to be, I learned the term followership in grad school in Japan. And I think both is necessary. Followership doesn't mean that you are like sheep. No, it means that you are qualified, that you are following the leader and providing them with the expertise that they need. So you need to have both skills. So here, learning, I'm not going to go into specifics here because, but I just want to say that for undergrad students, we try to provide a curriculum which is an integration of liberal arts and specialization. Yeah, and I talked about this already, but here I just want to add that there are 40+ degree programs available, and this is counting both undergraduate and graduate. And for the undergraduate classes, we have 4 majors which are offered in English. And the 5th one, Japan Expert Program, is offered in kind of Japanese and English, okay? So here, this is the bachelor's program in interdisciplinary engineering, which is offered in English. You don't need Japanese skills to apply for this. And also, I'm happy to announce that 3 slots are paid for through MEXT. So if you apply and if you make it, and if you're at the top of the list, then you'll be offered the MEXT scholarship. So and so the application deadline is December of this year, right? So keep an eye out. Please check out the website and bookmark it, and you can look at the application process for this. And also, let me talk about the Life and Environmental Sciences Faculty of Life and Environmental Sciences program here. And here, the 3 majors that are being offered are biological sciences, agrobiological science, resource sciences, and geosciences. And so again, all these three programs are taught in English, and it's very hands-on. It's I hear that you take field trips all over Tsukuba because it's surrounded by, and it's right in the midst of nature. So yeah, I also am struck by this story where we had a Ugandan student. She came from Uganda to here, and then she eventually she got a full scholarship to go to Oxford from Tsukuba. So we are also very proud of her. We have the International Social Sciences Studies, which is International Social Studies, which is a combination of economics, law, political science, and sociology. Please keep in mind that it's not a law degree or it's not an economics degree, but it's a multidisciplinary international, it's a social sciences, social studies program. And students do a wide variety of research, again, like influenced by several different aspects of this of these fields. Yeah. So for these three programs that I just mentioned, the engineering, the biological sciences, and the international social sciences, this is the calendar, so to speak. November, December is the application deadline period, the application window. And then in January, late February, March, we have these various stages that you have to clear. And then you arrive on campus in September of 23. There's another program that we're pretty proud of, which is the bachelor's program in global issues. And it's not necessarily, it's not just about the environment. It is also about, we have medical science professors also teaching this. It's about human health and well-being. It's also about, like sociological issues like diversity, like what does it mean to have an open society? Or what does it mean to have, what does it really mean to be inclusive? Coupled with real like environmental planetary concerns. So we are basically trying to teach systemic thinking in this program. So the end goal here is to prepare students to become project managers in sustainability issues. And this will be very much needed in private and public sectors, we believe, in the next 10, 20 years, because it's going to be pretty volatile, I'm afraid. So, and then moving on, if you have Japanese skills and if you have gained N2 or N3, then you can apply for this program, which is the Japan Expert Program. And then if you have been studying Japanese, maybe you can read this. This offers pathways to 4 different programs in Japanese. So it's a 4.5-year program. It's not 124 credits, but it's 139 credits. It's a lot of hard work, but at the end of the 4.5-year process, your Japanese will be very fluent. You'll be ready for the Japanese job market. And so this is another program that we recommend. So this is at a slightly set at a slightly later timeline. It starts in March of 23 and finishes in June of 23. And then you will arrive on campus in September of 23. Okay. So the mission requirements, again, very similar to university before, 12 years of formal education. You have to submit an essay, financial plan, transcripts, English proficiency, and so on. So please download the enrollment booklet for more information. Okay, moving on. This is the graduate degree story. And so thanks for waiting, graduate students. So we have, in general, we are trying to provide both generic competencies and specific competencies. Yeah. It's kind of not very different perhaps from the undergraduate side, but we are trying for, we are trying to have both specificity and also having generic, what's known as generic skills. Here, it is, I am going to talk to you, because there's so many programs available, I'm going to talk to you about programs that are specifically interdisciplinary from the get-go. So, for example, here, this is the PhD program in human biology, and this is, if you look here in the diagram or the figure, human biology comes at the center, surrounded by computational science, material science, medicine, and biological science. And so this is a program which is trying to, study or trying to do research on the establishment of sustainability in terms of human life in a very globalized society. So, so if this rings a bell, please check out the website. There's another program called Empowerment Informatics. Now, this is a little bit different, but this is more about informatics, engineering, art, neuroscience, clinical medicine, but the purpose is the empowerment of human beings so that they can kind of like go beyond their limits. So it might include, VR technology or augmented technology, AR, or virtual reality and so on. Yeah, robotics, of course. We have the TLSI, Life Science Innovation. If you want to develop new drugs, if you want to sort of like combat the next pandemic, which is sure to come again, unfortunately, then this is another program that might interest you. Humanics is, for example, if you want to study combined surgery with augmented reality, so it's basically engineering and medical science together. So this is what I think the best way to, and in a short time, to describe humanics. Yeah, so you will get a physical sciences professor and a biomedical science professor, and they'll both advise you on your research and education. We have the master's program in sport and Olympic studies, all taught in English. We have the heritage studies program to conserve the important heritage sites around the world, and also, and so on. So we have so many others, but anyway, the one thing that I need to talk to you about, and there's not much time left, is the importance of advisors. And this is the key aspect, or the key point, which is different compared to other countries. For example, compared to America, compared to the UK, United Kingdom, or Canada, Australia. Over in those countries, you apply to programs, right? And then once you enter the program, then they will assign you an advisor, or perhaps you choose an advisor. I'm not sure, but in Japan, you have to get an advisor ahead of time, okay? This is the same for, I'm sure, most universities in Japan: Keio, Waseda, Tokyo, Nagoya, Kyoto, Hokkaido, Tsukuba. I think that this is pretty common. When I went to grad school, not here, but somewhere else, I had to do the same, somewhere else in Japan. And so here, this is a basic requirement. You have to have a bachelor's degree. I think you can figure that out. You figure that out. And then this is, in terms of Tsukuba, this answers the question of how you can find your advisor. And this search engine it's called Trios, and you type in a keyword. For example, if it's like, let's say, I don't know, let's say genetics. Yeah. Then if you type in a keyword, then you'll get a whole list of professors who are doing work in that. Narrow it down, right? So you've done bachelor's, so you probably have a much better, clear understanding what you want to do. And then find a professor, read their abstracts, read their papers. And then when you write to them, write with intention, that I want to study with you because my background is in this and your background is in that. And so I think that you will be a very good advisor for me. So this kind of thing is really important, right? The rest is not so difficult, okay? So the rest is very logical. It's step by step, and not very different compared to other universities or other universities around the world. Okay, so we have academic support provided in English. We have Japanese language training provided in Japanese, and for undergrad students, you have to study Japanese. So this is sort of our requirement. Okay, so also here in terms of housing, we have affordable options. We have halal food cafeterias. We have Starbucks. Our cost is because we are a public subsidized university, less than $5,000. The monthly cost of living it says $750, but it's much cheaper compared to large cities in Japan, like Tokyo or Osaka. So I think that you can do it for much less than $750. Yeah. So here we have, if you do, we have a school scholarship that you might qualify for. There's also a tuition waiver system where you can get 30% or 50% off of the tuition fee based on your family situation. If you can explain it to them, then you might apply. You might qualify for that. Also, you can work up to 20 hours per week. Okay, so please contact us. Please talk to us. And let me talk to you about this. You can talk directly to our professors. I am arranging this huge, not a bazaar, but a fair called Imagine the Future Fair. This is our slogan, to imagine the future. And I have my team has arranged for many of these professors to come and join us in different virtual booths. And so you can log in and you can talk to the professors and students directly and get more information. Perhaps if you are looking for a graduate program, you might be able to meet a professor who might become your advisor. So please come and visit us on the day. It's on October 4th for undergraduate, October 5th for graduate students. So please sign up and join us on the day. Okay, so because I want more students from the subcontinent to come, so so please consider this. Okay, so anyway, I have taken up too much of your time, and so I'm going to log off here. So thank you so much for listening, and I'm going to pause for now.
Thank you, Mr. Shah, for the very detailed presentation. I'm sure your presentation encouraged many prospective undergraduate students and graduate students to apply to Tsukuba University. There are a couple of questions in the Q&A portal. Would you like me to pick up a few?
That would be great. Thank you, Ms. Hoshi.
So there's one question about the MEC scholarship. So there's a student who's got an admission in your university. But apart from the MEC scholarship, are there internal scholarships provided by Tsukuba University?
There is, and there could be scholarships provided by the program. For example, the human biology program, I think, comes with some funding. For example, there could be there could be program specific ones that might have it. But in general, the university provides some scholarship, but to be honest, it will not be enough to completely cover your costs. You need to spend some money. I'll be very honest with you, to study in Japan in Tsukuba.
Okay. Will they need to apply for the internal scholarships after enrollment, or can they apply before enrollment?
At the same time. So if they when they apply, and if if you are at the top echelon, then you will qualify for a scholarship from University of Tsukuba. That's how it works.
Thank you so much. Is there any limitation on admissions or an international student quota made publicly available to students?
Sorry, I don't understand the question. Like, is there a quota for international students? Is that the question?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, there are. Well, we're supposed to take a certain number of international students. We're not supposed to go beyond that, but that is different, by department. So it varies by department. So I can't say for sure. But for example, if let's talk about the interdisciplinary engineering program at the undergraduate level, I believe that they make offers to between 10 and 15 students out of a pool of 100 applicants. So that gives you an idea of what the ratio is, what the percentage is. It is competitive.
I think that answers the question.
Mm-hmm.
Is Japanese required for the graduate programs?
No, if you are applying for an English program. And here, this is important, because when you ask an advisor, when a professor to become your advisor, you will write in English, I'm assuming. And if the professor works in English or has international students in his lab, then I think you'll be fine. But if you speak Japanese, and if you want to, for example, study, let's say, applied linguistics in Japanese, then of course you should definitely use your Japanese skills, and you should contact the program for what the requirements are in terms of JLPT and so on. JLPT is the language proficiency test. Yeah. So that's a Japanese program, right? So it depends on what program you're applying to.
Thank you. Also in India, usually the bachelor's program is for 3 years. So students who want to apply for the graduate programs, is it okay if they've done their bachelor's only for 3 years?
Yes, that's a very good question, and I cannot say for sure. I think that you will have to check with each program. You will have to check with the advisor. Yeah, because I've heard of both cases. So I think that the 12-year rule for undergraduate, for high school students, is pretty much set in stone. I don't think you can change it. But in terms of graduate entrances, I think it's kind of fluid.
Thank you. There is another question regarding the MEC scholarship. Can students be recommended by the university for the scholarship?
Yes. There is a university recommendation. There are university recommended max slots, but it usually goes to University of Tsukuba students who are already admitted, who are in undergraduate programs that they're moving up to graduate, and so these slots are pretty much used for Tsukuba students, so it's not given to outside students. I know that there were two programs last year, very specific programs on advanced, like artificial intelligence, and also another program on viral research on viruses. So those two programs were open to the public, but only for a very short window of time. I don't know if it's open still or not. So you understand, it's not open to the public usually. Public meaning that students who are not Tsukuba students yet. So I think that's the answer.
I believe the student has already gotten admission into the TIAS 2.0 master's program.
TIAS 2.0. Okay, so that's the sports sciences program. Congratulations. Yeah.
Yes. So the student has already gotten admission in University of Tsukuba. So can he be recommended by the university if he's?
I cannot answer that question. You'll have to ask the TS staff, and she's the lady is very helpful. So I forgot her name, but you should contact her, and she'll find out for you. So I cannot speak for TS 2.0, because it might have its own policies, which I'm not aware of. So I don't want to make any wrong, false promises. So please contact them directly. You've gotten in, so that's a huge step. So congratulations. So the next step is to find out what the finances are. Yeah, I think you already did that during the application process. But anyway, please contact them further. Okay, call them if you need to. Okay.
Will they teach Japanese in graduate programs?
If you ask, as far as I know, well, again, depends on the program, because some curriculum has mandatory Japanese in it because of the nature of the research. Yeah, but generally speaking, at the graduate level, you're not required to take Japanese, but we recommend that you take Japanese. Yeah, because we want you to, because for example, you and I and the professors here, we all speak English, but the bus driver, the convenience store clerk, they don't speak English, right? So having some words ready, some comprehension becomes important. And if you're applying to a job, even if you apply to Google Japan or Apple Japan, it will be really helpful if you speak some Japanese, because those places are 80% Japanese, 90% Japanese, actually. So that would be my advice.
One last question.
Sure.
Are there courses related to food technology or biotechnology?
Biotech, yes, absolutely. So please do some Google search there. You'll be able to find 2 or 3 programs. Actually, there are labs and professors all over, and they belong to different faculties. Some people might belong to medical sciences. Some people might belong to life and environmental sciences. So some people belong to the information sciences, and they work in medical science. So do check the TRIOS, TRIOS search engine and look for the topic of your choice. Yeah, but the answer is yes.
Thank you. I'm sorry, one last question. Many students are interested in medical science as well.
Sure,
so I was
sure.
wondering if students can enroll for the medical science program available at Tsukuba University.
Yes, it is, but please be mindful. Are you talking about MD programs? Or are you talking about medical science? Because if you want to become a doctor using only English in Japan, as far as I know, that's not possible. So, but if you want to go into medical research and you want to, contribute to medical sciences as a discipline, then Tsukuba is one of the best places in Japan to do that. And it can be done in English. Okay, so if you want to find out how to kill the next virus, how to control the next pandemic, for example, then Tsukuba is a good place, I think.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shah, for answering all the questions.
And thank you for picking out some really great questions. Thank you, Ms. Hoshi.
Thank you very much. I'll reshare the agenda. So for today, we have our last presentation by Ritsumeikan University. So Ritsumeikan University is a renowned private university in Japan with a range of English-based programs and a diverse international learning atmosphere. The university was also selected for the top global university project as an institution that provides world-class education and research. It also boasts several partnerships with universities in the overseas with great scholarship benefits as well. So now I'd like to request Ms. Priyanka to give us an insight into the university.
Thank you very much, Ms. Khushi. Thank you for the introduction, and thank you, everyone. I'm Priyanka. I am been working for Ritsumeikan University India office for almost 12 years, and I'll be quickly sharing the presentation with all of you. 1 second. So this big R in Japan is very popular with the name of Ritsumeikan University. We are located in Kansai region. That's about 2 hours, 30 minutes from Tokyo. So we have 4 campuses in 3 different locations. So these are the campuses in Shiga, Kyoto, and Osaka. Pictures from the campus during spring, summer, fall, winter. Talking about Kyoto, Kyoto is a very historical, nostalgic, and a student-friendly city. And Shiga, where we have the second campus, it's rich in nature, industrial, and relaxed. Osaka, where we have a third campus, Osaka Ibaraki. As a city, Osaka is vibrant, welcoming, and a commercial hub. So when I talk about the Kyoto city, 1 out of 10 students is a university student. So it's been ranked #1 for safety, the entire region, Kyoto, Osaka, Kobe, according to 2017 index ranking. Ritsumeikan University was founded in 1900. So we are more than 120 years old. We are part of top global university Japan with 16 undergraduate colleges, 21 graduate schools, 36,000 plus students, and we also have 4 lakh plus alumni association. So this is part of a Japanese global initiative that Ritsumeikan is part of. To talk about the foreign faculty, we've been ranked #1 in Western Japan with 139 foreign faculties teaching in our campus. International students, we have 2,755 foreign students from 71 countries and regions, with 463 international partner institutions from 68 countries and regions. There are study abroad opportunities that are available. So, whether the child wants to do a short duration or a semester, that opportunity is available. So picture from the campus again. I'll be coming to the program after this. So we have 400 clubs and circles with gym that is complementary in all our campuses. With part-time job, any student coming to Japan is allowed to work for 28 hours per week for part-time, and student support is available in the university. So any kind of a support, career planning, academic guidance, visa, housing, study abroad, on-campus medical support. Accommodation, Ritsumeikan has its own accommodation for all our campuses, maximum 15 minutes walking distance. The accommodation is available. There is a strong peer support with 3,000 plus student staff being part of it, and a career planning office, whether you want to work in Japan or anywhere in the world, whether you want to study in Japan or anywhere in the world, you can contact the office. So I'll be talking about the key features. So we have a 20%, 50%, and 100% scholarship tuition reduction that is available. And we also have a MEC scholarship for one of our program. Accommodation, I've already shared. Online interview, everything is online. We don't need Japanese while you're applying for Ritsumeikan University program. All programs are taught completely in English, and Japanese is part of the curriculum for as part of the curriculum while you start your study in Ritsumeikan. Study abroad opportunities are available, I already mentioned. So I'll be sharing very quickly with you about our 5 programs. So the first 2 are the collaborative degree and the last 3 are the single degree. All of them are 4-year full-time program, completely taught in English with a multiple application period. The first program is a College of Global Liberal Arts, where you get 2 degrees, one from Ritsumeikan and another from Australia, National University, Australia. This is how you will graduate once you complete the program from Ritsumeikan and ANU. So you get 2 degrees, you get to study in both the universities and taught by professors from both the university. We have April and September intake. Liberal arts is a very popular subject, and some of the key words are already mentioned here. We have a huge intake of 100 students for this program. Again, ANU, it's Australia #1 university, 27th in the world, and 9th in the world in the field of politics in the world. Yeah. So why GLA? Why this program? It's a world-class education, 3+1, truly international and diverse environment, and a new liberal arts for the new era. Some of the career paths that I can mention, and there are many more. Government agency, consultancy firm, business and trade organization, development and aid organization, media agency, research organization, and working with universities, and there are many more. ANU, pictures from the ANU campus. The second program is a joint degree with American University. So you get to study in Ritsumeikan and in American University, taught by both the professors, and you get a BA in Global International Relation as a degree that would be awarded to you. Some of the key features of the American University: founded in 1893 in Washington, DC, ranked 9th for the undergraduate IR program. The third program, that's a single degree taught in Japan, is our global study major. To talk about this program, we are one of the Japan leading IR faculty, with the only member from Japan that has a full membership of APSIA. Some of the world-renowned university, Ivy Leagues, that has this membership are Columbia, Harvard, Yale, and many more. You will be awarded a degree BA in International Relations. It's a 4-year full-time program with multiple intake, April and September, 100 as a yearly intake, and the keywords are mentioned here. That's BA in International Relations. So I'll be sharing with you all the links and my details later in the chat column. The key features that I can talk about the program is 50% international students, 50% Japanese students. Many professors, they have worked for many years in big organizations like World Bank, United Nations, and NGOs, and many other world-renowned organizations, and they are now teaching students in Ritsumeikan. Japanese, as I already mentioned, will be part of the program. You get an opportunity to learn Japanese language. Talking about the fourth program, it's a community and regional policy study major. It's by the name, the degree will be awarded as BA in Policy Science. For this program, we have MEC scholarship, and there is no separate application you need to fill up. It's a 4-year full-time program, September only, Osaka Ibaraki campus. These are some of the keywords for the program that I mentioned here. This is a picture of the Indian student. She went, and some of the key feature of the program is a fieldwork project. She got an opportunity to do a project in Thailand, and the pictures for the same project, yes. The last program I'll be sharing with you will be Information Systems, Science and Engineering course. When the child completes the program, the degree awarded would be Bachelor's of Engineering. It's a 4-year full-time program, April intake with a 50 yearly intake. And some of the keywords that I can mention is IoT, business intelligence, data science, artificial intelligence, robot technology, and many more that is part of the program. So some of the career path and many more, big data analyst, global ICT support specialist, e-government system engineer, smart city engineer, and digital humanities curator. As I already mentioned, the entire application is online. No Japanese is required. It's a multiple application period. You just have to download the application handbook. I'll share the link with you. Create your account on TAO, that's TAO. Upload the documents and pay application fee. It's according to the application period that I'll be sharing with you. The documents are very simple. We need a passport copy. For some of the program, IELTS or TOEFL is mandatory, and for some it is not. Recommendation letter from the school, that's also to be submitted online, academic transcript and essays. Very, very simple documents that are required. To share with you the admission timing. So for September, for some of you who are keen, our liberal arts program, the application is opening in October, then in December, then in February. Again, I will leave all these details in the chat column. And College of International Relations, joint degree with American University, the application has just got over. For next year, you can apply. For next year, you can apply later. And College of International Relations, the application will open in December, then in February. And again, for policy science, the similar timing, December, then February. And College of Information Science and Engineering, our application will open now in February 2023. To talk about fee structure, it's very, very affordable. For some of the program, the fee starts from about 8 lakhs per year, Indian rupees. And also, 20%, 50%, and 100% tuition reduction is available. MEC scholarship, as I already mentioned, for our policy science program is available, and no separate application is needed for the same. And to talk about the graduate school, we have graduate school for international relations, policy science, technology and management, economics, science and engineering, information science and engineering, and life sciences. And for many of them, we also have PhD program also available. So you can download this overview and you will straight away go to the deadlines and when to apply for all our programs. Otherwise, I will leave it in the chat column. And also, if you want to hear the student voices from all over the world, you can go on our Facebook page, you can go on our website, or you can click on this link also. Yeah. And thank you, everyone. I'll be leaving these details, and very quickly, I'll share a 2 minutes video of 1 day in Ritsumeikan. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for your patience.
Miss Priyanka?
You can't hear it? One second. One second. I'm going to.
I've got the dreamer in me.
Your screen.
Bloom and the sun will shine.
I can't.
Until then, I would request students to ask questions in the Q&A portal so that the panelists can answer them as soon as possible. Thank you for your patience. Also, I would like to remind students that every university and every program has a different application guideline. So please check the respective websites for more information. Thank you, Ms. Priyanka.
My hand and I'll be your guide. I'll take you places that you'd never find. I know something about a state of mind. I've got the dreamer in me. Roses bloom and the sun will shine. Leave your troubles in the world behind. Stars shine brighter when you free your mind. I've got the dreamer in me. And when we reach the destination, you will see the world is waiting for the ones who hold the key. Just look inside and unlock the possibility. The dreamer lives in you and me. So take a breath and make the moment last. You'll never know if you never ask. All you need will be within your grasp. I've got the dreamer in me. And when we reach the destination, you will see the world is waiting for the ones who hold the key. Just look inside and unlock the possibility. The dreamer lives in me. You and me.
Thank you, students, for the patience. And over to you, Ms. Kushi. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Priyanka, for the very insightful presentation. We would like to answer the questions in the Q&A portal. Could I pick up a few?
Yes, please do that. Thank you.
So is there any limit for students to stay at the dormitories? Is there a 1-year contract, 2-year contract? How does the dormitories in Ritsumeikan University work?
To share with you about the dormitory, it's mostly 1 year. In special circumstances, like if you are a student staff, it can be extended, but mostly 1 year. And very comfortably, the private accommodation is available, and most of the children, they want to actually shift to the private accommodation after 1 year. Yes, thank you.
There's a question regarding the engineering program. I suppose you would understand the question better. It's by Mr. Vineet. He asks if he's done his 10th and 3 years of computer engineering. He wants to know if he can apply for the undergraduate program at Ritsumeikan University.
So as I understand, what you can contact me one-on-one, and I can share the details with the person in charge in Japan, and then I'll be able to give you, how you can go about whether you're, you will be eligible to apply. They will be able to answer that. So you can contact me one-on-one for the stuff. Thank you.
Ms. Priyanka, could you please share your contact details in the chat box for students later?
Yes, I've already shared. Thank you.
I have shared information about the undergraduate and graduate programs at Ritsumeikan University. So all the students who have questions regarding the kind of programs available at Ritsumeikan University, please refer to those links.
Thank you.
Can an undergraduate student with a different major apply for the undergraduate program again at Ritsumeikan University? So I think
Yes.
the person wants to do undergraduate twice, so bachelor's program twice. So can you do that?
Yes, for most of the programs, you can apply. For our engineering program, maths would be one of the subject that would be required. Otherwise, if you are from a science background and you want to apply for a liberal arts or international relation or a policy science program, you can apply. And even for the engineering, if you are from a different background, I can send your details to the person in charge. And mostly, if you have maths as one of the subject, you'll be able to apply. Yes.
Thank you. Is there other graduate programs in AI?
Yes, we have graduate programs that I've already mentioned. We have graduate program in international relation, policy science, and we have graduate program in all fields of engineering, including the PhD. So for anything specific, I've already shared my detail with the link of the university. Please go through it. And if you're unable to find, I'll be more than happy to help you for the same. Thank you.
Thank you. Could you give some information about the doctoral programs, especially in management?
Doctoral program in management. So yeah.
I think you could give like an overview of the doctoral programs and if there are any programs in management.
So I will have to check, the doctoral program availability specifically for management. There is one related program, but not a full management program. Just go through the link. If you find anything that you're keen on, I will connect you with the professor in Japan. And as a master's and PhD, you will have to be in touch with the professor and take care for the same. Thank you.
Most of the questions are actually answered. I feel Ritsumeikan University has a very good way for students to contact them personally. So I would recommend all the students to make advantage of this facility and contact Ms. Priyanka if you have any specific questions regarding the programs available at Ritsumeikan University. I suppose there's one more question. Ms. Priyanka, I think you would want to read this question. It's by Mr. Rahul.
So I did BE, ECE, but haven't completed, and I would like to change stream and do ISSC course at Ritsumeikan. Is it possible? So you will have to start from the first year. So yes, it is possible. You can apply and you have to start from the first year. So there is no transfer that is available for the same. Thank you.
And one last question. Actually, this is my question. I wanted to know if students in 10th, 11th, 12th, if they take courses related to commerce, but then for undergraduate, they want to be a part of the computer program that you just mentioned about. Is that possible, or does the student need to have a science background?
So Ms. Kushi, thank you for asking. So maths is one of the subject that would be required. Apart from that, if you're not from the same background, if the child is not from the same background, we can send the details to the professor and to the international office, and they will go through it. And then if the student is eligible, the child can apply. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry, there's a couple of students asking questions now. Is the class format online or offline? Due to coronavirus, how has it been?
So, as we understand, last year, most of the universities, they had to do some part of the program online. But now with Japanese entry to the visa for foreign students have been completely relaxed. and they are able to travel. When I talk about from India, so they are doing completely offline. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. There are still a couple of questions, but I think the students should contact Ms. Priyanka directly, as they're very specific questions. So I'm sure you'll get a better understanding by talking to Ms. Priyanka privately. Thank you so much, Ms. Priyanka, for answering the questions. And I hope students will contact with Sumekan University. And I would like to remind all the students that there isn't a set format when you're applying to Japanese universities. Every program and every university has different requirements. You will need to go to the website of the university or the program and check the application guidelines of 2022. And I suppose the application guidelines of 2023 will also be available. So please go to the university's website or the program's website to check the requirements. And if you have any questions, of course, you can contact the admissions office and they will hopefully reply to you very soon. And the application periods for most of the universities will open in October or November. You will again need to look into the university's website for more details, but please make sure you're visiting these websites regularly to meet the deadlines. So thank you so much for listening to me and the presentation by Ritsumeikan University. I'll reshare the presentation. I hope you can see my screen. So this marks the end of our webinar. Thank you to all the panelists and attendees for participating in today's webinar. The recordings of the webinars conducted earlier are uploaded to the University of Tokyo India Office website. The links are also shared in the chat box, so please have a look at them. And the next webinar is on 27th September, 3 o'clock IST, so 6 JST. So please make sure that you're registering for the next webinar using this QR code. And we look forward to seeing you in the next webinar. Thank you so much for your time.